On February 25, 1990, 27-year-old Terry Schiavo collapsed when her heart stopped beating due to a potassium imbalance and was resuscitated. Because of a lack of oxygen to her brain, she did suffer severe brain damage. Michael Schiavo, Terry's husband, was appointed by the court to be her legal guardian. Her parents, Robert and Mary, did not agree with the appointed guardianship and took it to the court. At this time, between 1991 to 1993, Terry lived in a rehab facility where she was on a feeding tube at the time. Michael, her husband, sued her doctor because the doctor failed to diagnose bulimia as the case for her struggle of infertility. Michael and Terry were awarded over $1 million with that case. Part of the money was put toward a trust fund for Terry's health care. In 1993, Terry's parents challenged for guardianship and failed. In 1998, Michael Schiavo filed a petition to remove Terry's feeding tube and in 2000 to withdraw her life support. Terry's parents fought guardianship again. The case grew into an ugly, drawn-out battle that ended up being 14 appeals and 5 federal lawsuits over the course of a few years. In 2003, Terry's feeding tube was then removed, and just a few days later was reinserted because Terry's parents requested help from Governor Jeb Bush. Governor Jeb Bush issued an executive order to stay on the feeding tube to ensure adequate nutrition and hydration. This stemmed from the act from Governor Jeb known as the Terry's Law. Terry's Law was passed and gave him the authority to order Terry's feeding tubes to be reinserted. In 2004, the Circuit Court entered the final summary judgment in favor of Michael, which found the act unconstitutional. Thereafter, in 2005, Terry's feeding tube was removed, and on March 31st, Terry Schiavo died. One important legal issue raised in the case is guardianship between Terry's husband. Another important legal issue is the legislature that enacted the law, giving the governor authority and the power to reinsert the feeding tubes, in which the court had given another person the power to remove. Governor Jeb Bush should not overturn the decision to take the feeding tubes out. The decision was made to remove Terry's feeding tubes, and the governor passed an act that reversed that judgment. He used his power of authority to change the decision. It's considered unconstitutional because it encroaches on the power and authority of the judicial branch. When the Florida legislature passed a bill known as Terry's Law, this law trumped the ruling on removing Terry Schiavo's feeding tubes. However, Judge Baird of the Sixth Circuit Court ruled Terry's Law was unconstitutional. The legal principle the court used for this decision was that they needed to follow the law and not follow their hearts. The majority ruled that Michael Schiavo was a legal guardian and that he has the right to withdraw life support from his vegetative wife. At the time, President Bush stated in cases like this one, where there are serious questions and substantial doubts on society or laws, our courts should have presumption in favor of life. It is critical for those like Terry, whose lives are at the mercy of others. Governor Bush drew up a new act, Terry's Law, so that Michael would not have the power to remove his vegetated wife's feeding tube. The act stated that the governor may revoke and stay on the finding that a change in the condition of the patient warrants revocation. The legal fight went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, which refused 4 times to hear the case. The Florida Supreme Court ruled that the law which gave the governor power over Schiavo's feeding tube was unconstitutional, because the courts did find that the act did not give clear explanation on what is considered a change of condition of the patient. This is a sad situation, and it's so easy to feel for Terry's parents, but you must put your emotions aside and follow the law in instances like this.